Welcome to Time to Press Pause, real life stories from the C-suite, and your space for resilience, inspiration, and growth. I'm your host, Ellen Williams, CEO of The Salient Strategist, and I'm so excited to be ushering in 2025 with you. Welcome to our New Year's episode. Instead of looking back on the year that's been, let's focus on moving forward and creating a purpose-driven new year. This episode is a compilation of clips and wisdom from our season 1 guests, and I hope they offer you some direction for doing things differently in 2025. The first clip is from my guest, Jaci Clement, and he's half of the well-known hip-hop duo Tag Team, and also CEO of CLG Investments, Inc. He talked about staying open to new possibilities.
Over these years, I've been able to sequester my ego and kill the pride to where my mind is open to every possibility. I'm not stuck in the past. The past is a reference. The past is a language model. The past is everything that I've been through. That's experience. That experience is a positive thing. You wouldn't be where you are now if it wasn't for the experience. So now I can take, and I love to learn. I wish I had loved to learn like this when I was younger.
Oh, I totally agree.
But
Totally agree.
I wouldn't have made Womb 30. I would have been an engineer or something, right? So, you know what I'm saying? Our life is our life. And you get one life, and I'm gonna ride it till the wheels fall off. That's why I'm learning that's why I get in organizations. I'm in 30 different organizations. I want to do concerts. Well, get in a concert organization because I want to meet the buyers, not the promoters, not the talent agents. They serve their purpose, but if I can go directly to the person who's going to pay me, that's my goal. And that's why I started SEO. Everything leads to the other thing, right? It's an intricate web of success. Everything I'm saying is not easy by any stretch of the imagination. I struggle. There are lulls in your life where you're doing good, and then all of a sudden, a year or two might fall off. But the thing of it is, as long as you keep planting seeds, there is always a harvest. And some years might be good, some years might be bad, but every year there's a harvest. So it's how you apply that harvest. When it's really, really good, do you can all those vegetables? So when it's not good, at least you have something to eat. All these concepts come from me doing podcasts every day because I'm actually learning more by talking to you. Us conversating with each other is relevant. And this is in a form, is my pause for the day.
So being here with me is your pause for the day. The second guest, Jaci Clement, CEO and Executive Director at Fair Media Council, shares her insights about leadership on social media.
I know there are still some people that feel if they want to be viewed as professional, they don't belong on social media, which I think we've progressed out of that era because it's so commonplace now that if you're not on social in some way, shape, or form, you're actually missing out, and you're doing your brand a disservice, because we do know that people want to see the face of a brand. They want to know who's running it and what that person is about. So you don't have to get intensely personal in your social postings, but you do need to step up and be the leader and be the face, and understanding the difference between not just being an external leader, but also being that internal leader, and putting it all together is a very powerful method of communication.
Would you say then leaders, it would behoove them to take a step back, press pause, and really evaluate how they're communicating, especially on social media, if they're still carrying the old ideas of I don't belong here?
Yeah, absolutely.
The third in our collage of advice, Alan Furlow, CEO of the Growth Doctors, advocates for embracing life's uncertainty.
The myth of life is that somehow it's certain, and it's not. When I was 16, I broke my neck and I nearly died. And I spent 6 weeks in hospital in traction, and apparently over nearly 10 days in intensive care. And I can't really remember. I can remember the first night because I nearly died. And I remember being on that bridge between one world and the other. And I suppose that sense has never left me, that in a nanosecond, your life can change. And we think we go to school, drop the kids off, we go to work, we go up the elevator, we do all of these things, expecting them to be the same. And then one day, completely out of the blue, something dramatic changes, or sometimes not so dramatic, but still, your life is changed. So to believe that life is certain is just not true. Every morning when I get up and I meditate, I always say thank you that I'm actually breathing that morning, because no guarantee I'll be breathing tomorrow morning. I learned that lesson a long time ago when I was 16. So to be in this state of unknowing is not comfortable. No matter how experienced I am at this, I still find it uncomfortable. But then it's the acceptance that this is how life works. And then if I stay in this place for a wee while, the answer about what problem that my skills and passions could solve in a way that customers really care about will appear. If I force it, what I'll end up doing is making the mistakes I've done in the past of building something that I love, but the world doesn't care about. So
Next up, Barbara Fonte, founder of the Fonte Group and chief business coach at Big Dream Executive Coaching, promotes the importance of being rooted in your core values.
There are these little signs that we don't pay attention to. Your intuition is one of them. What I learned that I would say is it's one thing to have a mission statement for the company. That's really important, obviously, right? You have to make some strategic decisions based on that. But I think it's just as important for a leader, especially in key roles, to be rooted in their own values, your personal values. If you're not bringing that to the table and you're not making decisions based on your personal values, you're going to be misaligned. You're not going to reach your full potential, and it's going to have a ripple effect to your team and the organization, the people that you serve. So there's something called a root document that I think everybody should have. First learned about it from, I think it was Stephen Covey, who writes those, this book, like the 7
Well-known name, yes.
And then I think he has like a part 2 that's called like Sharpen the Saw, which is Get Even Better. And what he suggests, and I do this with my clients, and it's so powerful. Matter of fact, everybody I meet, I say you have to have a root document. So what you do is you really identify your personal values. And you could probably come up with a list of 25, 30. Well, what are the ones that are most important? That it's like, your non-negotiables. Get very rooted in them. And then you look at the different roles that you're playing in your organization and outside. Okay, I'm playing a CEO. I'm a team leader. I might be a stakeholder. I might be a customer, all of these different roles. And you choose which values you want to bring to those roles. What's most important? And the beauty of that, having that document, that root document, is that all decisions will be born out of that document. I experienced this, and I've seen it for my clients, is that that's how you really grow into the best leader that you can be.
In her episode, Dr. Marie Helen Pelletier, leadership psychologist and author of The Resilience Plan, emphasized planning your pause.
I'm also a leadership psychologist and an executive coach. And so I would say we do need pauses. And that's in part connecting back to my first comment about how much I love the name of your podcast. We need them all day, every day, constantly, in bigger and smaller ways. My advice would be, especially if we're thinking about leaders, CEOs, think ahead about your need for a pause the same way you think ahead for so many things related to work. You're thinking about the trends, you're thinking about your next innovation, you're thinking about your financial year, your strategic plan, you're thinking ahead in so many ways. My suggestion would be think ahead also strategically about your resilience, which is truly what part of the core message of my book. But independent of book or no book, need to think ahead for ourselves too.
So think ahead as you're planning things and plan the opportunities to pause.
That's right. Yes.
Lastly, Carol Silva Morales, CEO at Upskill NWA, promotes leadership pauses and team pauses as well for the greater good of the whole organization.
There is a time I can even look at within my role as the president and CEO of Upskill, where there are these big changes in the organization that require quiet time. I often say to my own team members, you get a better me if I can stop and think. So while the role requires an all-in approach, which, go, 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 I'm definitely action-oriented. I'm definitely somebody who gets things done. But I also recognize that I'm much more valuable to the organization if I can have time to think. And how that transitions or what that looks like in the life of Carol is that on my calendar, which I use, it is another one of those critical tools. You can put Remarkable tablet, you can put calendar in there. I used to be the type of person, Ellen, that would want to block out every bit of time. I do that, but I do that very differently. What happens in that block of time is very different. So my block of time may be strategic planning, maybe budget optimization. So I use it, but so I can think about things. I also want to recommend that you put others in that thinking circle. In my organization, and it doesn't matter what role we have, everybody's voice matters. I've even written that into the mission and vision and values of Upskill. You have to hear from the people that are doing the work because they know firsthand what a policy change might require of them. They have some very specific opinions about additional tasks that they're going to be asked to do. They have some specific opinions on any process changes that are occurring within the organization. They also love to be involved. Not only do they advocate for Upskill NWA participants, but they advocate for themselves. I mean, my gosh, don't we all want to work in a place that cares about you and it cares about your own personal development, that wants to make you the best version of yourself, even if that means you're going to work for somebody else? So I think combined in all of that, Ellen, I would say, serving and having this heart to serve is the biggest piece of advice. Sometimes you got to serve yourself. Oftentimes we serve other people, but it requires time and it requires intentionality to do it, the right way, in a way that everybody's thriving.
These real-life stories from the C-suite included lessons and advice about openness and possibility, mindful social media communication, acceptance of uncertainty, value-driven decision-making, scheduled think time, and intentional pausing form a powerful blueprint for the year ahead. Let's make 2025 a time to bring our best selves forward, one pause at a time. I can't wait for what's in store for season 2 of Time to Press Pause, real life stories from the C-suite. We'll continue to bring you inspiring voices and real life stories that you can put into action as you improve and grow your leadership skills in 2025. I'm wishing you all a happy and healthy new year and reminding you of the importance of pressing pause. Thank you for listening to Time to Press Pause, distributed through the C-Suite Network. If you're interested in learning about me, visit thesalientstrategist.com. If you're interested in being a podcast guest, please email me at ellen@time2 to presspause.com. And please listen to our next episode wherever you listen to your podcasts.